Hello, students. Welcome to our class today. We're going to take a look at something really amazing, the microscopic world inside our own bodies. So let's get started with our first topic in animal tissues. You know, our body is just full of different organs, fluids, all sorts of things. So have you ever thought about it? How does it all stay organized? How does it stay protected and separate? Well, the answer to that question is a very special kind of tissue called epithelial tissue. You can think of it as the body's own protective shield, providing both protection and structure. So let's define it properly. What exactly is this epithelial tissue? It's basically the covering or protective tissue in our body. Its main job, its primary role, is to form a barrier to keep all the different body systems separate, right where they should be. Now look closely at how these cells are arranged. See? They are very, very tightly packed together, almost like they're forming a continuous sheet. There's almost no space, no intercellular space between them. And it's this tight packing that makes it such a fantastic barrier. And one more very important point. This layer is always separated from the tissue underneath it by something called a basement membrane. Okay, so now let's start looking at the different types. The first main category we'll study is called simple epithelium. And the word simple here is a clue. It just means that the tissue is made of only a single layer of cells, just one layer. All right, so the first type under this category is called simple squamous epithelium. Take a look at this diagram here. You can see the cells are extremely thin and flat. They form a very, very delicate lining. And remember, it's just a single layer. Now, because these cells are so thin, substances can pass to them very easily, so they act as what we call a selectively permeable surface. And this is why you'll find this tissue in places where this kind of transportation or exchange is super important, like, for example, the lining of our blood vessels or the tiny air sacs in our lungs, which are called the alveoli. So this actually brings up a very good question. Think about it. Why are the air sacs in our lungs, the alveoli, made of such thin cells? Why so delicate? Well, the answer is actually quite simple and very clever. It's so that gases, like oxygen and carbon dioxide, can move across them really, really quickly and easily. If the wall was thick, this whole process would be very slow. But this thin, delicate layer makes our breathing super efficient. Okay, so what if the main job is not exchange? What if the job is protection? For that, you'd need something much, much stronger, right? And that brings us to our next type, stratified epithelium. Now, the word stratified, it just means arranged in layers, many layers. And the most common example of this is the stratified squamous epithelium. So, here instead of just one thin layer, what do we see? We see many, many layers of cells stacked one on top of the other. It's kind of like building a wall with many layers of bricks. Why? To make it strong, to protect whatever is inside. So, as you can guess, its main function is to prevent wear and tear. With all those layers, it can easily handle all the rubbing and damage. And the best example, I'm sure you've already guessed it, is the outer layer of our skin. So, this leads to another question, doesn't it? Why does our skin need so many layers? Well, it's all about protection. Just think, our skin is what faces the outside world every single day. These layers act as a shield for our body. And you know, as the top layers get worn out or damaged, there are always new layers ready underneath to take over. It's a continuous process. All right, now epithelial cells aren't just about layers. They can also be specialized. What does that mean? It means they come in different shapes, because different shapes are good for different jobs, especially jobs like absorption and secretion. So first up, we have something called cuboidal epithelium. And the name gives it away, doesn't it? The cells here are shaped like cubes. This cube shape is really good for providing mechanical support. And you'll find these cells lining places like the tubules in our kidneys and the ducts of our salivary glands. Okay, next we have columnar epithelium. Now look at these cells. They are tall, like pillars or columns. This tall shape is really useful because it gives them more surface area. And that's perfect for their main job, which is absorption and secretion. And that's exactly why you find them lining our intestine, where all the absorption of food happens. Now, sometimes these columnar cells have a little something extra. This is what we call ciliated columnar epithelium. Can you see those tiny hair-like things on the surface? Those are called cilia. So what do these cilia do? They can actually move. They beat back and forth, creating a pushing motion. In our respiratory tract, for example, this movement is so important. It pushes mucus along, and this helps to clear out any dust or unwanted particles, keeping our airways nice and clean. And we have one final specialization to look at. You see, sometimes a part of the epithelial tissue can fold inwards, and it forms a gland. This is called glandular epithelium. Its job is to secrete things, to release substances. For example, our sweat glands are made of this tissue, and they secrete sweat to help cool our body down. Whew, we've covered quite a lot today, haven't we? So let's take a moment and do a quick recap of everything we've just learned about epithelial tissue. Okay, let's go through this summary table together, nice and slow. First, remember simple squamous, single layer, flat cells. Its job, exchange and diffusion, and we find it in the lung alveoli. Next, stratified squamous, many layers of cells for one main reason, protection. And the best example is our skin. Then we have cuboidal tissue with its cube-shaped cells for support and secretion, like in our kidney tubules. After that, columnar tissue. Remember the tall, pillar-like cells? Perfect for absorption in the intestine. And finally, the special one, ciliated columnar, with its cilia to move mucus in our respiratory tract. So, if there's one thing to remember from today, it's this. Epithelial tissue covers the body. It's all about protection, separation, and controlling what moves in and out. Now, next time, we're going to explore the tissue that connects everything, and that is connective tissue. I hope you'll join me then.